All right, Indiana recently debuting its new school budget, and it includes a big item that conservatives spent decades fighting for: school choice. The Hoosier state will give up to 90% of families the opportunity to get vouchers to attend the school of their choice, public or private. It's part of a growing trend among red states across the country, and it's the subject of this week's Taking Back Our Schools segment. I caught up with former Connecticut Senator Joe Lieberman earlier. He, of course, also the 2000 Democratic nominee for vice president. These days, he's fighting for school choice as a board member of the American Federation for Children. And we began by talking about how this fight is being waged across the country in state houses. Take a look.
Well, because really school choice, by the traditional focus of the Democratic Party on trying to help poor people and people of color make their way up, school choice is a way to do it, because just look at the facts. Too many African-American, Hispanic American low-income kids are trapped in bad schools, where if their parents could afford it, they'd take them out and put them in better schools, which is what wealthier parents do every day all around the country. So school choice is basically a way of saying, while we're trying to fix the public schools for everybody to do as good a job with everybody as they did with me and a lot of others at my generation, you got to give parents a choice. And it's really wrong that most of the supporters, I speak as a Democrat now, that most of the supporters of school choice are Republicans and conservatives. Really, Democrats and liberals have as much reason to be for school choice programs. I'm afraid they're not, because of the influence of the teachers' unions in Democratic politics. But that's not putting the children first, which is what we all ought to do.
And that's what makes it such an interesting topic. We'll touch on the teachers union in a second, but how is it that you respond to those public schools who say that they always get short shrift with voucher initiatives because it means funding will be stripped out of poor and often minority school districts?
Well, that's not the fact. I mean, the school choice program that I worked on at the federal level, which is about the only one that has been adopted, was something called the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program, basically a school choice, school voucher program for low-income children in the Washington, D.C. schools. And it didn't take any money from the public school budget. It was separately funded. That's what's happening in states all across the country as school choice programs are adopted. There's very little forward movement, unfortunately, at the federal government level. But in the states, including this week, a great development of passage of educational savings accounts in Missouri. The other thing that's really encouraging to me is that at the state level, an increasing number of Democratic state legislators are supporting school choice because they know that's what their constituents really want. And I'm talking mostly about their low-income constituents who want their children to have a better chance at an equal opportunity and a path up the ladder in America.
And as you mentioned, putting the focus back on the children. So, Senator, how is it that you would combat the teachers' unions who are fiercely opposed to school choice?
Well, I'd say that school choice is not anti-public schools. In fact, generally, school choice programs are good for the public schools because they give them some competition. And the public schools try to do better to keep the kids in their schools. But look, this is not about preserving one system of education. Our education system in America ought to be about educating our children. And honestly, millions of mostly low-income children in America are not in schools that are educating them. Now they do. By all the surveys that have been taken, including in the DC program, they do dramatically better in school choice programs than their comparable peers do in the public schools. And that's why I would say to the teachers' unions, relax, join the fight here. This is not against you. In fact, in the long run, I hope all the public schools will be good enough that parents will want to keep their kids in the public school and not use school choice. Incidentally, in the educational saving account program adopted just this week in Missouri, low-income families can get approximately $6,300 a year per child, and they can use that to supplement the cost of the education of one of their children in a public school if they choose, but they can also use it in a private school or a faith-based school as well.
So, Senator, let me ask you, you're clearly very well versed on this fight. What is it that's not being asked about school choice? What are we missing here that doesn't make it more of an easy solution for people to go agree on?
Yeah, I think it's the first. That's a really good question, Rachel. And I would say that the first answer to that is school choice represents change, or as they say in the high-tech world, disruption. But you know, it's in the high-tech world and in the business world, it's through disruption, through new ideas, in place of old ideas that are not working, that progress occurs. So that's the first thing we have to say. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't try to fix it. But a lot of our public schools are broke, and school choice is one way for a lot of children that has worked to try to fix it. I don't know. I feel so strongly about school choice, and it seems to be so obviously the way to go now that honestly I can't think of much else except look at the record, look at the statistics. I can't give them exactly, but the number of children in the school choice program in Washington, D.C. who finish high school is dramatically higher than the exactly similar population in the D.C. public school system. And an enormous number of them now are going on to college. Well, that's what it's all about. The fight shouldn't be about preserving public schools as they are or fighting for more money. The question is, what are we giving our children? And honestly, to me, school choice is the great civil rights program of this time in our history, in American history. And it's just about the best investment we can make in our future, because we're taking kids, educating them to be productive members of society, living the kind of lives that they dream of living, not being dependent on the government, or worse, being socially dysfunctional and causing problems in our society. The education is the key to individual futures, but also a better future for America.
And equipping children for the future. Now, last question,
Exactly.
Senator. I can't let you go without asking you about our current political system. Former President Trump strongly hinting this week at a White House run in 2024. If he runs, is the Republican nomination his to lose? And how do you think he would match up with Biden the second time around?
Yeah, that's a heck of a question. Well, first I'll give a disqualifier, a caveat. I had an old politician in Connecticut when I started out who said, in politics, a day is like a year. So, you know, we're more than 3 years away from 2024. So who knows? But right now, I would say President Trump is maintaining his popularity in the Republican Party, and he's really the dominant force in the Republican Party. So if he chooses to run in 2024, he's certainly the favorite to get the nomination. But I would say that it's not going to be easy for him to win in the general election. Of course, it depends on who's the Democratic candidate. And the reason I say that is that in the 2020 election, President Trump lost a lot of moderates, independents in the middle, who gave him some support in 2016. But by 2020, they thought he wasn't really what they had hoped he'd be. And I think he's got to figure out, if he really wants, he doesn't need advice from me, but if he wants really win the election, not just the nomination, how to sort of get off the 2020 election, January 6th, and begin to talk about the kind of ideas he talked about in 2016, which enabled him to be elected, to regain support from some people in the center. It's going to be a roller coaster of a political life in the years ahead. And of course, it's important because it determines to some significant degree, but thank God not totally, what kind of lives all of us will lead as American citizens.
I think a roller coaster would be an understatement there. Senator Joe Lieberman, thank you so much for joining us. All the time we have for now.
Thanks, Rachel. Be well. Good weekend.
You as well. Have a nice weekend.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.